McDonald's has entered a Minecraft movie universe, and Grimace, Birdie, and Hamburglar just spawned as new collectibles as part of a Minecraft movie meal with your choice of Big Mac or 10-piece chicken McNuggets with spicy nether flame sauce. Participate in McDonald's for a limited time. A Minecraft movie only in theater.
At Sierra, discover great deals on top brand workout gear, like high-quality walking shoes, which might lead to another discovery.
40,000 steps, baby. Who's on top now, Karen?
You've taken the office step challenge a step too far. Don't worry, though. Sierra also has yoga gear. It might be a good place to find your zen. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
What is good with it, my wealthy people? It is your boy David, founder CEO of Black Wealth Renaissance, here for another amazing installment of the Black Wealth Renaissance podcast. Y'all know who here with me, man. It's my dog, my brother from another, wearing this weak-ass Bulls shirt today. I don't know why the hell you with the Bulls, but it's all good, son. Man.
Damn, son, that's how you gonna come, man? I don't never talk about this. Man was a Titans fan. I done
let my allegiance go.
I never talked about none of his paraphernalia. I even got this man as a Titan backpack whenever I was in Mexico, son. And this is how he does me. Hey, man, boy, you a hoe, man.
Hey,
I just
man,
want you to know that.
Sometimes it be that way, but how you feeling, brother, man? You know, we out here in Houston. How you feeling, dog?
I'm feeling good, man. I cannot complain. The energy is great, man. Vibes right. My shirt is keeping me warm, so I'm good.
I might just be jealous. I am a little chilly.
You are jealous.
I'm a little chilly. It's cool.
I don't even know that damn shirt you got on.
It's just a t-shirt. I ain't gonna lie.
Ass racing shirt. Nigga ain't never watched the NASCAR race. Nigga ain't never seen a car start, make a pit stop, nothing. Yeah, I'm on your ass right now.
Oh man, you right. I ain't never did none of that shit. But y'all already know, man. We like to play around every now and again to start these off. But like I said, we got another great episode for y'all guys. Y'all, please do us a favor before we get started. Make sure y'all leave us that 5-star rating and review.
We need
it helps us grow the show and get this message out here to people like yourself who need it. And really put out stories like these. Because this brother here that we have on today, guys, y'all are going to be thanking us for getting this man on here so we can share this knowledge. So I'm going to go ahead and get right into it, right? Today we have a phenomenal guest, brother from Houston, born and raised. He is a CPA, real estate developer, electricity broker, and really just an all-around a man of many talents, father, husband, all the good stuff, family man. And he's here today, man. He's also an opportunity zone expert. So I don't know if y'all remember the opportunity zones. Whenever we first started the podcast,
yeah, they were just starting to come
We were talking about it somewhat, and we were trying to get an understanding. Well, we finally got an expert that looks like us that's been doing it since then who can give us some insight. We have none other than Mr. Malaki Sims. Malaki, how you doing today, brother?
Doing great, man. Glad y'all can't hate on what I'm wearing. This is a Mays Hall t-shirt, Martin Luther King's mentor from Morehouse College, where I stayed freshman year. So, you can't knock.
Yeah, he ain't going to hate on you. He's just going to hate on me, dog.
Yeah, I'm not going to hate on no history now. We just got out of Black History Month. We can't do that. But how you doing, brother? I'm glad you was able to join us today, man.
Doing good, man. All is well. Glad to be here. You guys have a great podcast. A lot of information shared that's really good. So glad to come by and try to share some myself.
For sure, man.
Appreciate
for sure.
you,
I know I kind of gave you an introduction in my words, but for the people in our audience that are unfamiliar with you, could you just kind of give them an introduction to yourself?
Sure. So I'm a native Third Ward Houstonian. I'm a CPA by trade, licensed CPA. I've been doing accounting for over 2 decades now. On the side, I do a little bit of development. I build and rent homes for our company, Houston Retreats, and I'm also a licensed electricity broker. So if you need electricity, I can get you in Texas, Illinois, and Pennsylvania as well.
Damn. Yeah, I ain't never heard of no electricity broker.
We're
gonna talk about that later.
We'll get into that first. But we definitely want to just kind of get started and like peel back on it. So I know you're a CPA. What got you started in real estate?
So I had a lot of friends that were in real estate, so really good mentors. And once I had children, I made a conscious switch in my mind to have assets and things to leave to them. And one of the best ways for generational wealth is to leave them real estate, because people will always need a place to stay. So the asset value of real estate is typically always increasing, and the tax laws behind it enable. They really shouldn't be fair. So they're just really that good, the tax laws. But it enables you to keep your wealth long time, and it enables them to be able to shelter some of the income that they can make from the properties as they continue to have them. And the rules for that, like once another generation starts, or once you die and it passes down, the rules reset and they start over and over again at the higher value. It's just really, really crazy tax.
Wait a minute. Okay, you're saying a rules reset. So first off, since that you're a CPA, you're like, okay, these numbers and everything make sense.
Right.
When you're talking about rules, I am aware of like depreciation.
Yep.
And I forgot what's the other one where you can kind of like, you can force the appreciation, like where you can put it out so many years in advance.
The amortization?
No, it's
Right.
not.
So two main rules. Depreciation is the first one, and that's the one that resets. That makes it wonderful.
Really?
Yeah. So real estate's one of the only assets that you can buy where the government is going to pay you back everything that you invested over time. So if I go buy, some Nike stock or something, and it costs $100, I got to come up with $100
to buy it.
And I spent it. Right? The government's never going to give me that $100 back. But if I buy real estate, if I buy residential real estate, whatever I paid for it, the government gives me my money back over 27 and a half years. If I buy commercial real estate, the government gives me my money back over 39 years. That's the depreciation that you're talking about. And that resets every generation once it passes down. So
could you give me like an example of what that would look like?
Sure. So let's say we'll keep the numbers simple.
Okay.
I buy a house. That house costs $27. I pay $27 up front. Maybe I may not have to pay anything because I can get real estate with no money out of my pocket. But the value of the house is $27. The government is going to give me $1 back each year up until it's gone, up until that value to them is zero. That's your basis in the house. What you paid for it is your basis, your upfront cost. The government gives you that basis back. So they're going to give me $1 back each year. If I ever sell it, I got to pay a tax on the money they gave me back.
Capital gain.
Not capital gains, depreciation recapture.
Okay.
But it's a small percent. And then time value of money, I get the money today. It doesn't matter that I'm paying this tax, later on. And there are actually ways to get out of it, not paying the tax too. But anyway, that $1 back, I pay 27. The government gives me back $1 a year for 27 years, right? I get all my money back. The government has paid for what I just bought. Now, I die. I leave that to my son. The value is now $54. It's doubled in value instead of $27. The government's going to give him $54 back over time. So now they're going to give him $2 a year going forward. Okay? He's done nothing to buy the property. All he's done is inherit the property. He's done nothing else. The property's not a different property, but the depreciation clock is going to start all over again. He dies. It goes to his son or daughter, because I'm not sexist, right? He dies. It goes to his children. Now it's worth $72. The government's going to give his child the same depreciation deduction all over again. So that clock always resets. And that's one of the beautiful things about it.
I appreciate you breaking that down. So like when you're saying the depreciation, this is obviously them paying for it. This is them giving you credits on your taxes or like a deduction?
A tax deduction for it. So let's say that tax deduction, if I don't have any income, it's worthless to me. But if I'm renting that house, then that deduction offsets the income that I make.
Gotcha.
And then it's worth a lot.
So on paper, you're not making nothing, but you're actually keeping cash flow.
Or you're making lower than what?
Or you're making lower than what you're reporting.
Which reduces your tax liability.
Which could be much lower because, again, if I'm inheriting the property, it should be paid off, right?
Cash flowing 100%.
It should be cash flowing 100%. I'm going to be in a position where I need those deductions to help offset some of that income. So if I leave you an asset that's paid off, and all you can just rent it and make money, and you still get this big deduction at the end where you can wipe away most of that income. I've set you up, to really, really succeed. I put you in a great position. And even if you're not renting it, just the fact that I left you a house and you have somewhere to stay, and housing is your biggest expense.
That's what I was
you don't have
ask.
that. So
yeah. So if you don't rent it,
house.
if it's not an income producing property, you still get that same
no depreciation. It has to be a business.
It has to be a business. Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Unless you house hack.
Okay.
So if you house hack, then you're technically renting a part of your house, and you get to depreciate that part of your house.
Got you.
Right.
So only in that situation, and is that what the step up in basis is called? Is that what
Correct.
that is?
That's the step up in basis. So your initial cost is your basis. I paid $27. That's my cost. That's my basis. That doesn't just go for real estate. That goes for anything you buy. What's your basis is what you paid for it. It steps up when it goes to the next generation because they inherit it, and then now it's worth the present value, not what you paid, because it goes up in value, and it steps up in basis to the new value. And when you get it, that's your basis, the new value.
Gotcha.
So this is some high level tax stuff right here that you just kind of dropped on us, right?
Yeah.
You can basically, and Kevin kind of mentioned it when we would talk with him, like these are some of the tax advantages that you get as an owner that you would never have as somebody that's renting.
Correct. Never. That's why you should always want to own. And that's why, in my opinion, they didn't want us to own property, because that's really the key to wealth. Most of the middle class and the true people that are wealthy now, a lot of them got their money from real estate, when they were allowed to buy homes, when we weren't, and they could pass those homes down to their children. They could borrow money against those homes, another great tax strategy, because money borrowed against debt, you don't have to pay tax on it. So they're pulling money out of nowhere that they get to keep all of it, to help pay for other things, help fund other types of investments, help to buy more assets, help to send kids to college, or I got a family emergency and I need to fix something, I could pay for that. I got a credit card is something I can tap to pull money out of, because I can always borrow against the value. So it's the same thing. Like when you hear people complain about, rich and wealthy people, living off their stock and things like that, and not paying tax because they're borrowing against what they own. It's the same thing for real estate. It's the same principle. Most people just don't do it because they don't own their property.
You got to have that ownership to be able to leverage it, whether it's stocks or real estate.
The tax law is created for owners, not workers. Sadly.
It's a bar right there. So now you got me speaking of tax law, right? You started investing in real estate. The opportunity zone laws, they rolled out, 2017? 2017, okay. How, I know you're a CPA, so like, did you just like that set it off for you? Like, oh, I'm going to do this?
Yes.
Like, okay, talk to me about the opportunity zones. Like
immediately, once I saw the law, I said, man, this is bullshit. This is the greatest.
Too good to be
this
true,
is
huh?
Too good to be true. I can't believe this is legal, but I'm gonna take advantage of it.
So, all right, let's get into opportunity zones, right? Yeah, like an overview.
Okay,
of what it is.
Opportunity zone is just it's a designation where the government wants you to invest. It's an area that they say, hey, I want this area to improve. And in the way that the tax law works, the government incentivizes us to do things that they don't necessarily want to spend the money doing. So they give us these big tax breaks to do it for them. One of those things that the government needs to provide is housing, right? Because if you don't have a place to stay, you go wild out and act a fool. And the government wants a nice, controlled, cohesive citizen base, right? So they incentivize you having a place to stay. They see areas that they think need development. They'll incentivize you to build or do significant rehab in those areas. So these are opportunity zones, and they're all across the country. They left it up to the states to designate, what areas would count as these areas. So that's what an opportunity zone is. It's just a place in your city that the government says, we're going to incentivize you to build here.
Got you. So like usually like maybe like a disadvantage or like a low socioeconomic area, something that we typically would call the hood.
In theory.
In a lot of places.
Not necessarily. So
okay.
Y'all have been to Houston a lot, right? Y'all been downtown?
I don't come as frequent, but I've been downtown.
You've been downtown? Did it look disadvantaged to you? It's opportunity zone.
Really?
Yep.
What are the qualifications?
Where you're sitting now?
The state determines it. So.
You're in the opportunity zone right now. This
That's
studio
crazy.
is in the opportunity zone property, right outside downtown. Great. It's not always. I'm saying the perception that it's the hood and things like that. No, it's not. It's not always bad real estate.
It's not always the slums.
Great.
Yeah.
No, some of it is great prime real estate. All of the areas I invest in now in opportunity zone areas, all inner city Houston areas.
So I want to rewind. What's some of the advantages for the investors investing into the opportunity zones? Because I think that's where you kind of drive it. I know it's government subsidies, but isn't it for like a certain amount of years that it's no taxes?
Yeah.
Can you break that part down for me?
Yeah, it's the best it's the best tax break I've ever seen. I don't think we'll ever see anything else this good. So to start off, when I sell something, you mentioned it earlier, capital gain, right? I get a capital gain. I have to pay capital gain tax on what I sell. If I take those capital gains and invest it in opportunity zone property, I don't have to pay tax on the gains until 2026. Okay? I get to delay it. Now, prior to like a year or two ago, they could have delayed it until 2026 and got a 10% discount on the taxes that they paid. So the government's essentially saying, the initial benefit we're going to give you, we want these areas developed. We're going to let you not pay capital gains now, and you can use that money to invest in these areas. And that investment you can make more money from later.
Okay,
right?
So let's say once again,
that's the first one.
Okay,
no capital gain tax. So you got a house, a stock,
something that
shoes that are vintage. That's an asset, right? Comic books. That's technically an asset, right? That you could sell.
And I sell it for $100,000.
Sell it for $100,000.
I would normally have to pay capital gains. I forgot what's the percentage.
21%, something.
20%.
Okay, 20%. So I normally, if I sell it for $100,000, I'm paying $20,000 right off the bat.
Yes.
So as long as I park that $100,000 into an opportunity zone, now an opportunity zone property,
right?
Now I don't have to pay that 20%
until 2026.
Until 2026,
you do have to pay it.
I got you.
But it's delayed.
I got you.
But now I can invest that 20
into prime real estate, like you're talking about,
to make
which
money.
would then appreciate further for me.
Correct.
That's crazy. So
that's tax break 1.
And I'm still like in 2026, I would only be paying the $20,000 that I would have paid originally, right? So once again, if my investment strategies are good, I got good business acumen, I should have recouped that 20% twice over.
Yes, you should. And that's break 1.
Okay, what's the second break?
Break 2 is, so I invest that 20 into opportunity zone property or an opportunity zone business. I mainly focus on the property because I want the real estate. But you can also invest in a business in the opportunity zone. But I invest my 20 as long I either build something. I'm gonna focus on property, on real estate, because that's what I do. I either build new real estate or I do significant rehab to real estate, meaning whatever I bought it for, I have to put that much into it plus like $1, right? So I buy a house for $100,000, I got to put $100,000. $101,000 into it, right? As long as I hold that property for 10 years, when I sell that property up until 2046, I don't pay any tax on those capital gains.
So wait one second.
Wait a fucking minute.
What you just basically told us, Malaki, is like you invest into the property significantly, right? So you buy it, you improve it substantially.
You either improve it substantially or you build it from the ground up.
Or build from the ground up.
Right.
You won't have to pay capital gains taxes
when you sell that
property. When you sell it.
Not indefinitely, but it's a very long window.
Up until 2046.
Yeah. If I say, but you have to hold it.
You got to hold it for 10 years.
If you hold it for 10 years and sell before then, the capital gains created from that, you don't have to pay tax on.
Wow.
At all.
Wow. Fucking crazy. And you don't have to do like a 1035 exchange.
1031 exchange? No.
1031,
so a 1031 exchange.
1035 is insurance, huh? Yeah, that's in my head.
A 1031, the opportunity zone law is like 1031 on steroids. So a 1031 is great, but it delays tax. Okay? I'm just shifting.
Because you got to roll it over.
Because I'm rolling it over from one to the other. But when I want to cash out, bam, I get hit. This eliminates tax. And there's not much in the code that gives you permanent tax exclusion. That's why I say it's bullshit. It should be illegal, but it's great. So take
McDonald's has entered a Minecraft movie universe, and Grimace, Birdie, and Hamburglar just spawned as new collectibles as part of a Minecraft movie meal with your choice of Big Mac or 10-piece chicken McNuggets with spicy nether flame sauce. Participate in McDonald's for a limited time. A Minecraft movie only in theater.
The spirit of innovation is deeply ingrained in America, and Google is helping Americans innovate in ways both big and small. The Department of Defense is working with Google to help secure America's digital defense systems, from establishing cloud-based zero-trust solutions to deploying the latest AI technology. This is a new era of American innovation. Find out more at g.co/American innovation.
advantage.
So that's why you had to take advantage of it, hop on
immediately. But that's only the second break.
Wait a minute.
Wait,
there's more?
There's more. Tax break 3. And they have another code, another section that they built into this that you could take advantage of. So like I mentioned earlier when we talked about depreciation, right? If I sell it, then I have to pay back depreciation recapture. With the Opportunity Zone law, no depreciation recapture. So you don't have to pay that back either. And then on top of that, you get bonus depreciation. So now we're in a bonus depreciation environment. So that depreciation that you normally get, like I said, they're going to give you, we're going to go back to the $27 example, right?
$1 a year.
$1 a year, right? There are certain aspects of your house that have a useful life of less than 20 years, between 1 and 20 years. Add all of that up, and whatever that value is, the government will give you 100% depreciation deduction now, up front. Well, it's down to 80%. It's down to 60% this year, but they got laws on the books to try to retroactively make it 100% from last year up until 2025. So I can build a house. Let's say I build a house for $100,000, right? If I inject some capital gains into that, hold it 10 years, that $100,000 that I built it for, I can get a cost segregation study, which is what you need to take bonus depreciation. And typically bonus depreciation will get you about 20 to 25% of the value of the house as an upfront tax deduction. So that house for 100, let's just say 20%, I get an upfront $20,000 tax deduction now that I don't have to pay back because there's no depreciation recapture. And then when I sell that house 10 years from now, I don't have to pay capital gains on that. And the money I use to invest to get the house, I don't have to pay capital gains on that until 2026. And I get the house to rent out.
Man.
And I can buy the house because it's real estate. I can buy the house with zero money down because you can still, like any other real estate program, you can leverage. You can borrow money.
You can still
buy the house.
Yeah.
So I don't need 100% of capital gains. I just need enough capital gains to get me into the loan to get the house. And I can borrow the rest.
Dang. Like you said, this is definitely set up for owners. Like you said.
Correct.
The whole system is set up for owners. So like with these opportunity zones, how are you able to identify them? You just going on to the, like it's on local government websites, things of that nature? Google
Opportunity Zone Houston. And then a website will pull up with a map, and then you type in the address and see if it's an opportunity zone or not.
Gotcha.
Or even if you don't know an address, they'll have like the little yellow, I don't know the color off the top of my head, but it'll be color designated on the map. And you can just zoom out and kind of see what areas.
Okay, so I kind of want to pull this back right quick, right? So let's say I'm a person who wants to get into real estate.
Okay.
I found an opportunity zone property, right? I don't have any money, but I want to leverage against this. Could I go to somebody who I know might have capital gains, get them to fund it for me, and then still take control of that asset and do it that way?
Yeah, you can still partner with someone that has capital gains. And the entity that you form would own the asset. But it still has to stay within that entity for 10 years.
That's crazy.
Before you sell it.
It's not playing fair, dog.
It's not.
Yeah, you say that. Yeah.
It's great. I haven't seen anything on the code ever like that. So once I saw that, I was already into real estate, but I wasn't into development. I was just buying homes at the time. But once I saw that law, and then once I saw the areas in Houston that were opportunity zone property, which is mainly, I'm from 3rd Ward, inner city, right outside downtown. Fifth Ward, Opportunity Zone property, had major developments going on there right outside of downtown. I saw those areas and other areas that were designated as opportunity zones. And I said, oh, it makes sense to build in these areas and be able to take advantage of some of these laws.
Do you think there's any disadvantages for people living in the communities of opportunity zones?
Yeah, it is. So it possibly it intensifies. It can intensify gentrification.
Okay.
Right. So if I got a lot of new development going on and it's raising my tax rate and my tax value, and I can no longer afford to pay to stay in the area, then I might have to leave. So that is a possible disadvantage. However, again, real estate, going back to ownership, in which this is why I try to tell people about the law so much. It's an opportunity for us to develop our communities and control who stays in our communities. So what I try to do, what we try to focus on new development where we'll go to lots or areas that no one's staying there, where we're not displacing anybody, and then make that better and make that area better, and then try to improve it, for everyone around us. But we get to dictate who stays where, like who stays in our units.
And the way you're dictating that is by not putting a home that costs $500,000 next to a home that costs $120,000.
Yes, that. But I'm saying, I own the property. I am the landlord. I control who lives here.
I got you.
I pick who lives here.
Exactly.
Now I'm still within all fair housing regulations, right? No discrimination and things like that. But I'm just saying, when it comes to gentrification, the issue is we're not involved in the process, and we don't have any say of what goes on while the area is changing. But the law gives us a perfect opportunity to do that. So you can be involved in the process, and it gives you a heck of a break to do it, to be involved.
So you mentioned your strategy with this. You build from the ground up now in opportunity zones. I heard you mention that like you still kind of apply the BRRRR strategy in a sense. So like, yes. Can you speak to that? How are you applying the BRRRR strategy in these opportunity zones? Like with these builds, you just buy. BRRRR is usually buy, rent, rehab. Buy, rehab, rent, and then repeat. Right.
Right.
So refinance. Repeat.
I was about to say you forgot to refinance.
One of the R's.
Right.
How are you applying that in the opportunity zones?
So you're just removing the buy and substituting build.
Okay.
And then you're doing the exact same process everywhere else. So the only difference is when you refi, you want your cost to be low enough as to where the refi takes care of all the costs.
Doesn't over leverage you.
Correct. Well, it leaves you with a zero balance.
Gotcha.
At the end of the day.
Gotcha.
Is kind of what you want. So with the buy, so typically you think about it, a builder builds a house for you. They're gonna sell it to you. They're gonna make profit in between that spread. That spread equals your equity in what you're borrowing against. So as long as my cost is lower than 75% of what the value is, then I can borrow against the value to cover my cost. It's the same thing. People build it and then force appreciation by improving it.
I got you. So
I'm not buying and improving to force appreciation.
He's just building appreciation into.
I'm building and making sure that my build costs are below 75% of what it will sell.
The actual value of the home.
Right.
And then whenever you refinance it, that's a loan, so you're not paying taxes on that income, and you're able to just leverage it and go into another property.
Same thing.
Gotcha.
But it's sad. But why you would buy instead of build in the areas we're at is because the Opportunity Zone program, you have to either build or do significant rehab. I can't buy in an Opportunity Zone an account. I mean, I can buy an account, but I have to rehab it. So at that point, you might as well just build a new house.
And you're building it because of
because the cost is typically cheaper, but when you're rehabbing, it's more surprises.
That comes,
and when you're building from ground up,
especially with Houston being an older city and everything like that too, I can see that.
And then it's just process based. So you follow the same steps, A, B, C, D, E. You can go down a list. It's less surprises, and then everything is new. Versus I rehab something, I might fix this and that, but I might not fix everything.
Yeah.
I'd rather just have the new house.
Smart. That's smart.
So Malaki, I kind of want to get to like with the builds, right? New builds from the ground. Can you offer some tips to listeners on like managing cash flow whenever you're doing some of these new build projects? We talked to a few different developers and stuff like that. Just kind of like,
Hold on one second.
yeah, things that you would do whenever you're building out these projects.
Okay. So what I would do, what anybody should do, the main thing is be aware, be present, and control cost. So the main way to protect cash flow is to make sure you know how much stuff is supposed to cost. You're not overpaying that, and you're not overpaying people, and that the people you're paying are really getting paid, so that you're paying them directly.
What do you mean by that? They're really getting paid? Like,
So you could be
Contractors and subs.
the contractors and
Okay.
subs. So I could hire you to build to do my AC.
and then I just go get
And
Jalen
you
to
just
do
go-
it instead.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying I could hire you to build my AC, and I could pay you, but you don't pay your workers,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or you run off with the money. I paid you for the AC unit up front before it's even delivered, and now you gone in the wind, and I don't have no AC unit, right? But I done gave you all the bread up front, and now I have no AC. You know what I'm saying? So the biggest way to control costs is protect cash flow is to try to buy your own materials if you can. If you can't, if you don't know how to pick them yourself, pay for them yourself, and then you get advantages to doing that too. Like if you use your own credit card, you get points and things like that. And then make sure you pay people yourself. Those are the main three things.
That's good. Just to make sure that you're like avoiding any hiccups and all that stuff whenever you're in the build process
Right.
and actually getting it.
But the main thing is, you need to know what stuff is supposed to cost,
Mm-hmm.
because then you're not overpaying. So
And
you
the simple way
Yeah.
to do that is just going like their websites or go walk in like a Home Depot's and just really go check out the material price, right?
for the materials, yes, but you also need to know what labor
Labor.
costs and how much. You need to know that I should be paying high labor for high skill.
Gotcha.
I shouldn't be paying high labor for someone to dig a hole,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Or I shouldn't be paying super high labor to sheetrock, right? But should my electrician or whoever's building my foundation or framing my house get paid a little higher labor cost? Yes, but how much should that cost be? You need to kind of know in general. Like let's just say, for example, if you got a plumber, right? A plumber in average,
They gonna bust
the average price here might be between $600 to $800 a fixture. So I should know that, okay, I got 12 fixtures in my house, 12 times 800 equals whatever. That's how much my quote should be for everything and what all that encompasses. If I got a sheetrock person, I know the numbers behind sheetrock. A piece of sheetrock should cost me X amount per sheet. It should equal this. Your labor should be, 45 to 65 cents, per foot or whatever. You need to know the cost components behind what you're paying. And then that will help you control your cash flow, because now I know what I should be paying somebody.
I got
And I know when
You
I
asked
should
the
be
same question as
paying.
me.
I got a question. So, like, how am I determining the market rate of those things? So, I'm gonna give you a little backstory. Me and him were insurance adjusters, right?
Okay.
So I have access to Xactimate, which automatically tells me the market rate for what a quote unquote repair would be.
Right.
But for your everyday person, how would they figure out this is the market rate? Am I just calling up 10 different contractors?
You got to be in the streets.
Okay.
You got to be in the streets and know what stuff is supposed to cost. Or you got to have somebody trusted on your team that knows what stuff is supposed to cost.
Gotcha.
So you as doing the building, you don't have to be the quote unquote builder. You can be the developer that hires a good builder, hires a good GC, hires a good team that's trusted, that's not go try to rob you. Now the less involved you are,
The more unknowns you got.
the more I'm saying the less involved you are, you got to make a choice. Do I want to save money? Do I want to save time? Right? The less time you have invested, the bigger your risk is of someone throwing some extra margins in on top that you're not paying for. Like if you going to buy my materials and I don't know what they're supposed to cost and you're paying for them, it might cost you 10 and you might charge me 11. I'm not going to know if I'm not involved or I don't know that this stuff should cost X amount of dollars.
Gotcha.
Which I like to buy my own materials,
Gotcha.
things like that. Or if it's something that that is hard for me to get delivered and deal with and yada yada, I don't mind paying a little extra for someone else to do that. But I know what that cost is going to be. I know what that delta is. And
Gotcha.
that delta is not worth my time. But you got to pick a side. You want your time or you want cost savings.
Was that the question you were going to ask?
So actually, no, it wasn't. You, let me see. God damn it, I lost it because I started thinking about something else. Keep the conversation going. You know how I do it. You know how this goes for me, Jalen.
This guy.
It's gonna come back to me in the most random moment.
Okay. Well,
also budgeting.
Okay.
You know, you need to know. You have to have a set schedule to know how much of what percent of the project you'll need. Typically, I try to allocate 25 to 30% of the total job amount to have to spend throughout, and know the process that you're doing it to make sure you don't run out of money.
Gotcha.
Essentially, before you get a draw from the bank.
And basically, with a lot of this, it sounds like you either need to have one or two things: experience in that field, or you need to have a mentor who can kind of guide you through some of these steps.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And yours was I know in the beginning you say you knew a lot of people who kind of turned you on to real estate. So did you just have a mentor who kind of taught you some of these things?
I had a bunch of mentors. So when I first got involved in real estate, it was from just buying houses. I had a good friend of mine that literally knew I was having a child, and I had no interest in real estate because I had a perception of, to be a landlord, you got to be hands on. My brother tell you I'm real lazy. Like I don't fix nothing. I don't do none of that stuff. I'm not. You're
not the handyman. I'm not the builder type.
I trust it. I put it like, I tell you a story. My dad, when I was little, he was like, Malaki, go outside, pick these weeds.
I was never really a runner. The way I see running is a gift, especially when you have stage 4 cancer. I'm Anne. I'm running the Boston Marathon, presented by Bank of America. I run for Dana-Farber Cancer Institute to give people like me a chance to thrive in life, even with cancer.
Join Bank of America in helping Anne's cause. Give if you can at BofA.com/supportAnne. What would you like the power to do? References to charitable organizations is not an endorsement by Bank of America Corporation. Copyright 2025.
McDonald's meets the Minecraft universe with one of 6 collectibles and your choice of a Big Mac or 10-piece McNuggets with spicy Nether Flame sauce. Now available with a Minecraft movie meal.
At participating McDonald's for a limited time. A Minecraft movie only in theaters.
I was like, I'm not doing that. Like it's not gonna happen. He's like, well, you can't come back in the house till you pick the weeds. So I was like, cool. So I sat outside and like made little games all day. It was like, I'm not picking weeds. And then he came out and he was like, a couple hours later, he was like, I told you to pick the weeds. I was like, yeah, I'm not down with that. And he's like, all right, well, you don't pick these weeds, you go get beat, and he got a strong belt. And I was like, I take my whooping.
How many licks you gonna get me, Pops? Let's get this shit over.
I was like, I take my whooping. And he looked at me. He was like, you rather get beat than to pick some weeds? And I was like, yeah. And he looked so disgusted. He just shook his head in the air. He was like,
Lord, why me, Lord?
He said, boy, you better go to college or you're not gonna make it in life. I said, I can do that. That I can do. But this manual stuff, like, nah, that ain't me. That ain't me. So I'm not manual. So I thought, being in real estate, you had to,
do the manual part, but it kind of helped you approach it a different way because that's not your.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I'm saying I had a friend. I thought it was hard. I thought that that's what it needed. I had a good friend, knew I was having a son, and was like, "You need to get involved in this real estate thing and leave him some stuff." And he had a house for $30,000. He came up on a deal for $30,000, and he was like, "Man, it's a great deal. $30,000. It don't need much rehab, whatever." I'm like, that's dope for you. And he's like, no, you go buy the house and I'm going to show you how easy it is. He gave me almost a turnkey house, only for 30 racks.
That's
and
not.
Once I saw how easy it was, then I was like, oh yeah, you really, as long as the house is nice before people move in and you let the right people in, you don't really have to be that handy, and they're not really destroying stuff. So that was my first mentor that I had, that kind of showed me how to go buy property and property management. Then I built my house, and along the course of building my house, that's why I started to pick up and learn how to build. This was like I finished my house like 2018. That's when I figured out the process of building. And then once I could see, like I'm an accountant by trade, so we're process based. Once I could see the steps as I'm building my house, I see the steps. that
Just
they're
follow
doing.
these
And I'm just
steps,
like,
yeah.
oh, well, if I just follow these steps and I build something smaller, I should kind of be okay. And then you just hire the right people that know what to look for and things like that in the areas where you're weak, and you can be covered. You can be all right.
Did you ever figure out your question? Cause
Yeah, it was actually bringing up his background as a CPA.
Okay, cool. Because I kind of wanted to get into that too.
So yeah, what is your background as a CPA? Like, how much do you think that influences the way that you approach real estate investing? That was kind of where I was going. You kind of touched on it just now.
A lot. So I think there are many ways to make money in real estate, and you just need to find like what skill sets you have and tie it into one of the ways to make money. With building, it's like I said, it's process based. Step A, step B, step C, step D. I'm an auditor by trade. So when the first step to audit is actually like CPA. I mean, people think that CPAs are boring people. If you're an auditor, you actually got to be personable and go out and talk to people because I got to pull
figure some shit out.
I got to get the process and document the process. And then once I know the process, I know the accounting and the rules that go behind it and how we're supposed to do stuff. And I use those skills to build because I learned the process and the steps, and now I know the order that things are supposed to go to kind of be able to figure stuff out. So it helps a lot as far as building. And then obviously when you're building, you need access to capital, and typically you got to borrow money. And when I go talk to banks,
being you're in the account,
CPA, they, my numbers don't
question them as often. Yeah,
not as much, right?
Yeah,
and I know what good financials are supposed to look like. I know what I'm supposed to present to the bank. I can walk them through my tax return easily.
Probably know it better than they have. Be like,
yeah.
Oh, would you like a job here?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. That's happened before.
I can believe it.
But that I could see that definitely assisting. Like, cause when you're mentioning easy, I hear people say, real estate isn't an easy business. But I feel like somewhat, when you have that process and that thought process going into it, it makes it a bit easier.
It's easier, but at the end of the day, it's just problem solving.
Yeah.
You're figuring out a problem, and you got to figure out a way. I mean, you have to have the systems in place to deal with the problems that come. So I'm not going to say it's easy, but if you have the proper systems in place, when the stuff hits the fan, you're ready to go because you got a plan in place and systems in place to deal with it.
It's tax season right now. As a business owner, you should never go to like just a regular tax preparer, right? You want to find somebody that can apply your strategy. Can we kind of break down the differences between, tax preparers, CPAs, and the other designation, EA? There we go.
Okay, so if you go to H&R Block or somebody after the fact, if you go and say, hey, here go all my receipts and this is what I made throughout the year, you already lost because you've done no preparation. You should have a plan to know what you're gonna pay, and you should know the laws and say, hey, this is a strategy. I'm gonna put money here. I'm gonna invest in here. I'm gonna do this year because I anticipate making this much, and these are the ways I can get that number down. I can invest in these things to take advantage of this, that, XYZ, to drop that number. So you have enrolled agents. Those are individuals that may not have a background in accounting, but they can go pass the test with the IRS to be able to prepare your tax returns for you. And they do know tax strategy. So they have strategy that they can offer, but if they've never done accounting, right, then they may not have the background in accounting to really give you points on what you should do to make sure your entries are right, to make sure the numbers are correct, right? So there's a difference between you do your books and records, you do all your numbers, and you bring the numbers to me, and then I go, or we discuss a strategy for what you're doing, but I don't know the accounting entries that go behind what you're doing.
Like the actual mechanics of the business.
Correct. Like, yeah. I don't know that when you sell something, it's supposed to hit this, it's supposed to hit that, it's supposed to hit that. I don't know that your inventory is supposed to work XYZ this way or that way, because your tax return is basically like you're taking your financials and putting them in a different format. Like your balance sheet, you got a balance sheet on your tax return, right? Things are supposed to be in certain places there. You have a P&L, that's on your tax return convert to your tax return too. So like that first page where you have all your income at the top and then all those expenses below, you're just pulling that like from the income statement. But if you don't have a background in accounting, you may not know where things should go on the income statement or where they should go on the balance sheet because you don't know the accounting behind it. You see what I'm saying? That's the difference between typically someone that's just an enrolled agent without any accounting experience and someone that's actually like a CPA, right? Now, if you have a CPA that's preparing your return versus, say, an enrolled agent, you might get more of their specialized knowledge, but they also have, I don't want to say more liability, but they're supposed to be able to identify things that are wrong on your return, or else they could they put themselves at risk of getting in trouble. You know, because like if I want to work on your behalf in front of the IRS, if I'm a CPA, I'm licensed by the state, and it's a hard test to pass. There are things I got to do every year. I don't have to do anything else with the IRS because they say you're a CPA, you know what the hell you're doing. An enrolled agent has to say, we got to prove to you that we can pass this test to take it, right? Then you have people that are CPAs that are, or just people that are lawyers that focus in tax too, because it's not about tax code, it's about tax law, okay? So the code is a set of codes that say, hey, you can do X, Y, Z, but X, Y, Z is up to interpretation. There's a lot of gray in X, Y, Z.
Gotcha.
It's backed up and supported by case law, where someone's gone to court and said, hey, based on this case, we have precedents in the court that our interpretation of this is correct. And that's what really matters at the end of the day, is that tax law. And lawyers that specialize and focus in tax really know the law very well. So I think if you have a lawyer, like the folks that are lawyers that are also CPAs, like them the high price.
They got to be some
high dollar dudes.
That's some
because
a lot of school.
They focus on both.
Yeah.
You know, it's really about the law. So the main thing, anybody that you're going to use, you're going to want to make sure that you want to interview them. Whatever designation they have, they can all be the right person for you. You just need to make sure they know what they're talking about.
Gotcha.
Right. And
specific to
you. So you're always going to want to ask them, what other kind of clients do you have that do the work that I do? And you're not going to want a small one because you want to grow as a business, right? So hopefully you want a bigger one because you want them to apply all the stuff for the big person down to you to help you get to that level. So you're going to want to interview them and see what their client base is. Make sure they have clients like you so they're not learning on the job on you.
That's
and then
smart.
and then you want to make sure that all these strategies and things that they say we're going to put you in, make sure that they know that they will survive the scrutiny of an audit. So I could drive 100 miles on the freeway now, and I could be okay if ain't no cops there, you know. But if the cops there, obviously I can't do that. The strategy that you're putting me in, is it going to survive audit scrutiny? Has it been examined before? You know, do you know the tax code and the law behind what you're doing? Like, hey, Malaki, you should go out and buy a G-Wagon. Okay, what's the code section for that?
Yeah.
If you don't know the code section for that, you shouldn't be telling me I should go buy it because you don't know.
Yeah, and
right?
everybody on Instagram was buy the G-Wagon. You can write it off. This wasn't it like last year was the last year you could do that?
Last 2 years, yeah. What's the code behind that? And then if they know the code behind that, cool. What's the case law behind that? Because if we get audited, that's what we have to rely on is case law, not just the code, you know? And hopefully the person you're using, whatever strategy they're telling you, they should know about your business. They should know the code sections related to what they're telling you to do. And then they should know the case law behind it. And the last thing that you should make sure they have is if we get popped, you're going to represent me, right? Like if the IRS comes,
if you put your name on this paper, you need to be in this.
You in the meet, like you represent me for free, you know, because you signed the return. You've put the return together. I didn't do it. I don't know what to tell. I don't know what to tell these people. You need to come and tell them what you did. And if they say what you did is wrong, then you're paying for the penalties and the interest, right? The tax is mine. I should pay the tax. I would have owed that no matter what. But all the penalties,
everything that's a result of the mistakes you made,
You
should
need
be
to
your
paying for it.
responsibility. Yeah.
Either you should pay for it, or you should have insurance that pays for it. And typically, the difference between, like I was saying, that extra level of liability, if you have a CPA, then technically you can threaten, hey man, you got CPA, you shouldn't have messed up. I'm gonna call the board or whatever, and
they can lose their license.
Well, they don't want to put it at risk, is what I'm saying. So if you bring some BS before a CPA, they're not gonna do your return if it's risky, because they don't want to even play that game.
Because, like you said, that's at risk of losing their licensure, their livelihood,
right?
Because you over here doing some BS with your taxes and messing around,
and I didn't catch it,
cooking the books,
and I let it happen, right? And I did work at a firm where the firm went down because of what they didn't catch a client doing. So that I know firsthand experience that does happen. Not, it wasn't tax wise, but I'm just saying in general, when you're a CPA, you're still putting your name. Yeah, you're held at that regard, and you're supposed to catch stuff.
Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to pivot. We were talking about ownership earlier. One thing that's a rising trend now is corporate landlords. I don't know if you kind of noticed that's been in the
Wall
news
Street.
cycle.
Right.
Yeah, Wall Street buying up, I think Blackstone is the company. They're buying up single family homes all across the nation, specifically focusing in the South. Right. And I saw an article, I came across it, discussing the possibility of America becoming a nation of renters.
Right.
So like right now in 90% of the United States, it's cheaper to rent a single family home than to own one. As an investor, like, what are your thoughts on that whole trend?
Well, so we spoke about it earlier. So the reason that you see that happening is because the opportunity zone law. So what does Wall Street have?
Hella capital
gains.
Hella capital gains.
Yeah.
Your capital gains, your 401k, your stock, all that. They have all that. Their job is to, over the long haul, to maximize the return on that. They sell stuff. They get out of what's not hot no more. They go in the next thing that's go emerge and pop. They take the capital gains from that and reinvest it later, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They know the law. They know that now the government is incentivizing investing in real estate, and they know that if they invest in real estate and hold 10 years, they can sell all these properties and not pay any tax on it and walk away tax free. They know exactly what they're doing. That's one of the main reasons you see corporate America going into new development and becoming landlords. And in the meantime, because again, the same tax breaks that we just discussed, like where they can build for no money, they don't have to pay any money to build these assets either, because they have a hell of
Springfest and Ego Days are here at Lowe's. Right now, get a free Select Ego 56-volt battery with purchase of a Select trimmer, blower, or mower kit. Plus, shop today for new and exclusive items you need for your lawn. So get ready for spring with the latest in innovation from Ego, the #1 rated brand in cordless outdoor power. Only at Lowe's. We help, you save. Offer valid through 4/2. Selection varies by location while supplies last.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
a balance sheet. They got hella cash.
They
got cash.
Loans are.
They can get loans for whatever they want.
Yeah, kind of like how Kevin was talking about. They just probably call them up. Hey, look, I need 100,000. I got this, and it's probably.
Well, they already got the lines.
Yeah.
So the banks make money off your money. So the more money you have in deposits, the more a bank will lend you to go do whatever. So you don't use your money, you use the bank's money. Yeah. So they finally got the incentive with the, traditional real estate and other things. They're losing money there. So rental income, you're always going to pay for a place to stay. So yeah, it may be cheaper for you to rent a place now, but over the long term, it's going to cost you more money because of inflation. Your rent's always going to go up. Your landlord, all they're going to do is pass that cost on to you. So I'm a landlord. When I try to do my best to make sure my long-term tenants, I try to keep their rent as affordable as possible. But obviously,
Still got to make
I
money.
still got to make money. Yeah,
because your taxes raised,
my taxes
and your
raising,
insurance gonna go
and
up.
my insurance is gonna go up. My note is gonna stay the same. So the majority of the rent, the mortgage, I can control that, depending on where I lock it in at. Like if I build a new house now, I'm paying double interest that I was paying 3 years ago, right?
Yeah,
so it means I got to charge more rent.
7%,
7-8% now, right? It used
2,
to be
3,
3, 5 or whatever. So I can lock in that cost and control that. But the rest, I've got to pass on to you eventually at some point. And if you're renting, your rent's always going to rise because of that. But if you own, the majority of your cost is locked in with that fixed rate mortgage. Your insurance is going to go up. It ain't much you can do to fight that. That's just, it is what it is. Your taxes, you can fight your taxes and protest your taxes every year to get it down. But even if that continues to rise, you still get a deduction for your taxes. When you own, you get a deduction for your rent. I mean, for your mortgage on the interest when you own. So you get to write it off. When you rent, you don't get to write off anything. And then you have equity. So later on, you can sell what you bought to hopefully make some money or pass it on to somebody else.
I was just gonna go into that protesting part. I know we spoke about it with Nikki a few years ago, protesting your taxes. Could you kind of just give us a little insight on how you would do that? Once again, using the opportunity zone part, right? Let's say we got a few new builds around here, and then my taxes went up because of the new builds.
Right.
How would I protest that to say, okay, hey, this home might be a little bit more valuable.
Right.
Well, I ain't do nothing over here.
Makes sense. Yeah, it's actually not that hard. I actually, I'll send you a link to it. You can add it to the show. I have a guide on how to protest your property tax.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa. Look, free value right there. I love that.
It's free. Yeah,
it's going to be in the show notes.
You can just pass
download it.
But essentially, the main thing is, the first thing you want to do is file a homestead exemption. Okay. So that's basically the government saying, we're going to give you a break against your value. You don't have to pay full value, tax on the full value. They recently passed the law change in Texas. I think the new break might be up to $100,000. I'm going off memory on the value of your home. So instead of paying tax on $200,000, you might only pay on $100,000. The amount's going to vary depending on the house, but either way, you're going to get an exemption on that amount. That's step one. So that knocks your tax base down. Step two is to protest. Well, I'm sorry, that's step one. Step two, when you buy the house, they're going to send you, the taxing authority, they're going to send you a letter or something, nice little letter in the mail saying, hey, congrats on your new home. Why don't you send us information showing what you paid for it? You know, don't do that.
Let's see. Don't they already have that information?
No, they do not. They
Sound
don't
like a
have that
setup.
information.
They don't know how much you paid for it?
They do not know how much you paid.
Really?
No, they don't. That they ask you to give it to them. You don't have to give it to them.
Wow.
Make them do the work. We don't dry snitch on ourselves. You make them do the work to figure out what they think you paid for the house. But they're going to ask you, hey, send us a closing statement, you know, showing what you paid. Send us an appraisal. Send us whatever. Send us pictures, yada, yada, yada. No, I'm not sending you. I'm not sending you anything.
Y'all figure it out y'all own.
That is crazy.
That's step two. Let them figure it out. Step three is to protest every single year. Every single year. Like less than 20% of the people protest.
Really?
And then when you protest under the market value method and then the equity method. So in your case, where you own the home already and everything's going up, you'd be protesting under the equity method and essentially saying, my house is not worth what these houses are because these are new and mine are old. You should be comparing my house to other houses in the area. So then throughout your protest methods, all you're trying to do is show that this house has this stuff that my house does not have. So lower my value down. And then I have other comps that I think are more comparable to my house, and my house should be worth what those are. And to show that, you can show pictures of things that are damaged. You can show, you can have estimates from contractors. You can get a contractor to come in and say, hey, I need an estimate to fix the AC, you know, and then you can take that and say, I would have to spend this to make my house look like that. I would have to spend this on counters to make my house look like that.
And what's your method? This is the market method, this one that you're talking about?
Well, it's both. I'm saying
you're
you're using the same evidence for both, but basically Market value is you saying, I have new sales comps
versus
stuff that didn't sell. That's the equity method. These are houses that didn't sell, but my house is worth what those are.
Yeah,
and I have proof of what is in these houses to show that it's this. The problem is most people don't protest their taxes.
Mm-hmm.
So every year, everybody's equity goes up anyway. That's kind of how they get you.
Gotcha.
Now, when you're going to protest, typically there are 3 phases. The first phase is typically with the taxing authority itself.
Mm-hmm.
So you can, you go to somebody, I might come in and see you, and, I got to convince you that my value should be lower. That works about half the time. It really depends on who you get that day.
Mm-hmm.
I've literally gone in once before and had a guy ask me. He was like, "Hey, dog, what you want it to be?"
Your taxes?
Yeah, he was like, "What you want the value?"
Because nobody else is coming do it, so it's like
he just didn't care. He wasn't trying to get a raise. I don't know. He didn't like the job. I don't know whether he was like, "Hey,
zero."
Dog, hey, dog,
that's what I'm telling you.
And I gave him a number, and he was like, "Man, I can't make it that low."
Don't ask me that question.
I don't know. We settled on a lower number.
Something that y'all could both reasonably agree to.
It's been that easy before. On the flip side, you could get a person that's just not trying to negotiate or work with anybody, that's just real hard up. And I've had that before where I done had everything perfectly laid out, and they were like, "Nah, I'm just not giving you nothing." So if that don't work, you go to step 2, which is the appraisal review board. So that's a group of volunteers, people that aren't paid, usually a lot of old retired people, and they work on a board, a panel, and you got to convince them that your value should be lower. I typically go with the 1-member board now, because
it's easy to influence one person.
It's more so that I've never been the one where I've had 2 or 3 people going back and forth with each other. It's kind of like somebody step up and take charge and everybody else agree with them. So I'm like, well, might as well just go try to convince the one person. Yeah. And then if that don't work, you can appraise it. I mean, you can protest at the state level, but that costs money. So you got to typically put up maybe $500 for your home or so. And if you win, you get back like $450, like whatever the processing fee is, they keep that. And that's if they decrease off of, what you want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times what happens is the appraisal districts, they don't want to hear from the state. So once you protest at that level, they might call you to settle before it gets to the protest.
Like, oh man, you didn't call these dudes. What you want, man?
Yeah. And if you settle, you still get your money back less the processing fee.
That's
I'll send you the guide too.
Yeah.
It's a whole guide.
I appreciate that, bro. That was
very valuable.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So now, Malaki, I just got this is more hypothetical for you, and I feel like I know the answer, but I just want to ask anyway. What are your thoughts on the whole rent and invest the difference versus ownership? So I seen a question posed, right? Would you rather have a $1 million house and $500,000 in liquid capital, or $1.5 million liquid?
And be renting. With $1.5 million liquid.
It depends on the numbers, right? I'm an ownership guy.
Mm-hmm.
So my general philosophy is, once you own, I want to beat inflation, right? The main way to beat inflation is by owning. Once I own, I'm now in control of my biggest cost, right? And if I'm in control of my biggest cost, it should in theory be easier for me to invest because I've locked in my easiest cost. If I'm renting, I haven't locked in my majority cost, so that could go up, and I'm not as in control over what I have to spend on other things. So as far as would I rather have 1.5 million liquid cash? No, never. I would rather have 1.5 million in assets that are improving, because cash is trash.
Well, when I say liquid, I mean stock's still kind of liquid compared to say you got a regular brokerage account, not like a 401k or IRA, none of the tax advantage accounts, just like a regular brokerage.
Okay. Would I rather have 1.5 million liquid and be renting, or have what?
$1 million house with $500K liquid.
I'd rather have the 1.5 million, but because I don't necessarily need $1 million house. Because I got to pay taxes on
$1 million house come with $1 million house problems.
House problems, right?
Yeah,
right. I don't need $1 million crib. Yeah, I don't need $1 million. I would answer that way because I don't need $1 million house. Give me the money. Give me the assets that are worth $1 million versus I want the asset that's making money that's worth $1 million versus the $1 million in the asset that's not making money.
That's a better way to look at it.
I want what's making money. Now, in general, if you're just talking about I'm starting off and, how should I start off investing? I think it's better to own because you're locking in the cost. Right? But once you start talking about giving me more money in assets, I'm always going to choose the more money with assets that make money, not the asset that doesn't make money. And the $1 million house doesn't make me money.
It appreciates in equity, but it's not going to make you no cash flow.
No cash flow. I want give me the $1.5 million. Because it was $1.5 million.
Yeah.
Okay. Give me the $1.5 million that's making money.
Probably getting dividends off that joint and all that.
Over the $1 million that's not.
Illiquid.
Correct.
Yeah.
I would choose that.
And especially I just look at it because think about it now. It's always a conversation whenever we start talking about assets, the liquidity portion of it. People look at real estate, and I think that's what stops a lot of people. They be like, "Oh man, my money tied up, it's locked in. I can't do nothing unless I sell the house, this, that, and the third." And it's like that's not necessarily the case. You could still be kind of liquid, but
you're not liquid, but you can still touch the money.
Yeah,
and you can touch it tax free. So everything what I build now, I have a big house. I have a big HELOC. Because I have a lot of equity in my house because I made sure my costs were low. And I use my equity to go build other investments. Every piece of real estate I've ever bought has come, or pretty much most of it has come from the equity in the house I had already. So when people say your main home is not an asset and that you can't touch the cash and equity, that's not true. You just get a HELOC against it. Be responsible with it. Don't go, I'm not taking trips on my HELOC. But
you buying more cash flow with
I'm buying more cash flow with the equity. And yes, I can't touch 100% of the value, but I can touch a big.
Yeah, usually like 75 to 80%, something like that with HELOCs.
It can be, yeah. Depends on the bank, but it depends on the value of the house. But I got a 6-figure HELOC. So
you can make some things shake.
Rinse and repeat that with some investment properties helps you with the build process and whatnot.
Yep. What's up? Repeat. So yeah, that's not true. You can use that equity, just use it responsibly. But it's there for you to get, and it's tax free.
Yep.
So anything else you sell, you go lose a percent of it to taxes. With the HELOC or with borrowing against the equity in your home, you don't, because debt's not taxed.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate that answer, my brother. Because whenever me and him was having that same conversation, I ain't gonna lie, I was like, yeah, give me the 1.5, but I like the qualification of like, is it asset? Is it cash? Because I do understand the part where the cash just inflation is gonna kill it.
It will kill it. But I take the 1.5 cash and over the 1 million house and put it into
yeah. And that was my thought too. I was like, I'll rent and still be able to have that 1.5. I can go do a whole lot more things with that versus the $1 million house.
But either way, my thought process would be whatever I'm renting, it's still costing me more money to rent there than it would be to own something else.
Gotcha.
I would still want to own to control my rental cost.
Gotcha.
But I would want that. I wouldn't want 1.5 in the bank. I would want it in something.
It ain't working for you. It's working for the bank.
5%, because inflation destroys that. It's not.
That's a fact.
It's not worth it.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
Did you got any more questions, or you want to go to standing on?
We can pivot into standing on business, man.
All right, my brother.
So
welcome to the game show.
The NBA playoffs are here, and I'm getting my bets in on FanDuel. Talk to me, Chuck GPT. What do you know?
All sorts of interesting stuff, even Charles Barkley's greatest fear.
Hey, nobody needs to know that.
New customers bet $5 to get $250 in bonus bets if you win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.
21 plus and present in Virginia. Must be first online real money wager. $5 deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hey there, travelers. Kaylee Cuoco here. Sorry to interrupt your music, great artist BT Dubs, but wouldn't you rather be there to hear it live? With Priceline, you can get out of your dreams and into your dream concert. They've got millions of travel deals to get you to that festival, gig, rave, sound bath, or sonic experience you've been dreaming of. Download the Priceline app today, and you can save up to 60% off hotels and up to 50% off flights. So don't just dream about that trip. Book it with Priceline.
Go to your happy price, Priceline.
Okay.
Today we are going to be playing my favorite section. It's called Standing on Business.
Okay.
It's presented to you by the Private Small Business Society.
Okay.
Right? And we're going to ask you 5 questions just to test your business acumen. Okay. I'm pretty sure you're going to pass this with no problems at all.
I don't know. I just been lying this whole episode. It's the internet, man. I can.
I'm about to figure out if you're lying. We about to figure out if you're lying. I'm going with the first question. Gut check. You ready? You got it pulled up?
Yes, sir. I got it pulled up. So I'll just start it off.
Number 7. Hit him number 7. Let's see if he's lying or not.
This dude here. This one, he gonna get this one so easy. That's all I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. Let's see if he lied.
All right, Malaki. So we got the first question standing on business. Which financial statement provides a snapshot of a company's financial position at a specific point in time?
Balance sheet.
I ain't had to read the options. Oh, I'm saying.
I know your ass ain't lying.
Okay, we 1 for 1. Let's go. All right, Jaylee, you got number 2.
Second question. I don't know if you have any experience in this field, but I'm gonna ask it. In project management, the critical path is, and I'm gonna give you 3 choices. Choice A is the most expensive path through a project. B, the shortest path to complete the project. Or C, the sequence of tasks that determines the minimum project duration.
I would say C.
You are correct. Final answer?
Yeah, final answer.
You're correct.
Doom, doom, doom. 2 for 2. Okay. So I got number 3 for you, Malaki. Number 3.
You're wrong.
That was wrong. No, so number 3 for you, I got what's the main goal of customer relationship management? A, to improve customer relationships and satisfaction. B, to increase the cost of goods sold. Or C, to acquire new customers.
What was A again?
To improve customer relationships and satisfaction.
I'd say C, but A helps you get to C.
So the answer is A.
Okay.
But I can see where C would come in because you do want to get new customers. And customer relationship management does, like, it plays that role, right? You're going to add them into your database so that you can then foster them to get to see, like you said.
Happy, they get me more
so I'm going to give you a 0.5 on that one because I feel like your answer is, like, right, but you know what I'm saying? It's not right on the paper, but it's right in my head.
That'll work. I'll take that.
Okay. Question number 4. Let's see which one I'm going to go with.
To a 2.5 right now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see. I want to give him a good one.
You got the other set too, didn't you?
I don't have that one. You're going to get this. What does ROI stand for in business?
Return on investment.
Leave that one out there. Yep, that's 4 easy right there. All right, and the last one, let's see here. Which of the following best describes market segmentation? A, the process of setting prices for products. B, creating one marketing strategy for all customers. Or C, dividing the market into distinct groups of buyers.
C.
There we go. Ding, ding, ding. We got 4.5 out of 5. That's what I'm talking about, man.
I take that. I'm a career BC student, so I rock with that.
Hey, I ain't never been mad at that, man. Let me tell you something. The B's and the C students make all the money. I was an A student, man. I have to, like, it's an unlearning process. I was trying to.
Y'all want to be perfect all the day.
I was telling somebody about that.
Job done.
Yeah. You got to unlearn that shit whenever you get into the real world. I was like, that A student mentality does not always benefit you in the real world. Like, there are some benefits to wanting to be perfect, but a lot of times done is way better than perfect.
I studied enough to pass. I ain't need 100.
80%, and if getting it out there at 80% is way better than waiting till it's 100% perfect.
Right.
You might miss your window of opportunity.
Right. Big time. My wife would disagree. She's a career
A
student. A everything.
Yeah.
We fight about that all the time.
Yeah, I'm definitely a BC student myself.
Yeah.
Was a saying? They say I think Chris Senegal once said it's the A students end up working for the B's and C students. Yeah. So
a lot of times.
Yeah. She can have an argument, but I still feel like it's an unlearning. But
so, yeah. Well, I want the kids to do good in school, so I don't go say, hey y'all, don't make A's, because I didn't.
I ain't gonna lie. So I just recently had my son. I told him, I was like, I ain't gonna if he don't get an A, I ain't gonna be mad at him. As long as he ain't bringing home D's and F's, like. But if you ain't bringing home A's, you better be having some other stuff going on to where you like.
Yep.
I understand.
Yep.
So yeah, that's my
do your
thought.
best.
Yeah, do your best.
Do your best.
Do your best.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna push you to be perfect.
So Malaki, we're gonna get to a few little wrap up questions. I'm gonna ask you my favorite question. What's the biggest money lesson you learned?
Treating people kindly. It's the biggest life lesson I've learned, I guess. Do unto others as you want them to do unto you. What the energy you give out is what you receive. I just know, treat people in a good way, and good things.
You receive that back to you.
Yeah. Everything I've gotten, everything literally is come from a mentor, a relationship, person that sent me something. I'm an accountant because a teacher said you should be an accountant because she took some interest in me. She helped get me in the Morehouse. All the real estate I bought, it's been from mentors. Like I said, my friend gave me a house,
30 band,
and all that stuff. Just treat people nice, and good things will happen. That's how I feel.
I love it. So I got a few questions that I asked myself. First question: are you frugal or are you a flexer?
I'm very, very frugal, and my brother will tell you that. I'm super frugal unless it relates to
making more money.
No, unless it relates to sporting activities. So
Gotcha.
I'll spend a grip to go to sporting activities. But aside from that, I'm very frugal. I still got to hit the World Cup. I'm waiting till it comes here. So at least I'm frugal in where I hit the activity.
You flex on what you like.
I'm flex on what I like, which is usually sports. But aside from that, I'm pretty frugal.
Gotcha. My second question.
I'm spending stuff for me. Now I got family members that. Like my wife likes nice things, so
yeah, you got to flex on
that's
her.
That's understandable.
Hey, flexing on your wife is one of the biggest flexes in life.
Yeah, so she likes nice things, but I don't really care.
Hey, I understand that part. And my second question is, do you have life insurance?
I do. We do. We need more though.
Bet.
Because I was just talking to my my insurance agent the other day. A lot of people, we're going to have a big estate tax issue, right? So right now the estate tax is like, I think 13 million a person or something, but they upped it to that with the 2017 Tax Act. It might go back down to the $5-6 million range or so. And when we got a lot of people, because I know you guys have a lot of real estate investors, I've seen your show, that are acquiring all these assets, when you die, you have to think about what the value is going to be then. And if you don't have enough estate, if you don't have enough liquidity or insurance to pay for that, whoever you leave it to is going to have a big fat bill to pay. So I personally know I need more insurance. We have life insurance, but I know we need to get more to equal the value of what we project our real estate to be.
Gotcha. To match your assets.
To match the assets. As we continue to build, that number needs to go up. Because we never know what's going to happen with the estate tax. They might lower it. But yeah, everyone should be always monitoring, what do I own and what do I project the value of that to be 30, 40 years from now? And I need to lock in enough insurance now to protect against that.
And if y'all need insurance, I'll let you boys so we can take care of y'all.
Oh, y'all sell insurance?
Yes,
yes,
we
sir.
do.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
So, we are definitely life insurance brokers.
Okay.
So I know you say you was talking to your insurance agent.
Yeah,
but
my insurance broker. Yeah.
If you ever need something, holler at us.
Well, I didn't know y'all did that.
Yes, sir. It's a newer venture for us. We actually got licensed earlier this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Appreciate that.
So do y'all have an office?
No.
Okay.
Virtual. We're doing everything virtual.
Okay, but you bought equipment and stuff, right?
What when you're saying like equipment?
You bought stuff for the office.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Again, depreciation. Go
I
back
got
and look
you.
at the depreciation.
I got you.
We're in bonus depreciation. That stuff you might need to take it bonus depreciation, and then at some point in time.
So what up? It even applies to like that type of equipment as well?
Anything with a useful life of over 1 year. Yes.
Bet.
So go to your CPA, give him a receipt to everything you bought, and ask him what here has a useful life of over 1 year. And if they change the laws back to 100% depreciation, so pay attention. I'll let y'all know if it passes. If they right now we're at 60% bonus, but they're trying to get it back to 100 retroactively, going back to last year. If they get it back to 100, then you want to depreciate those things that have a useful life over a year, instead of expensing them. Because when you file your tax return, when you go to the bank to get more money, the bank adds back depreciation. They don't add back expenses. So it's going to make it look like you made more money for the bank, which is going to then let them lend you more money. So ask your accountant, show them what you bought, say what has a useful life over a year. If the rule passes, then you may want to consider depreciating that stuff instead of expensing it. Because when you go to the bank's going to add it back. It's not going to save you any money. It's going to be the same net income at the end of the day. But I'm saying the placement on the tax return
is where the value comes.
Where the value comes in, which might make a difference for you, since you just started that venture. So think about it.
Appreciate
Gems,
that.
appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely gems, man. My God, man. This has been a pleasure, my brother. Before we get up out of here, I want you to just let people know we didn't even get into the electricity.
I know, man.
Hey, we're going to have you back on, my brother. Hey, we didn't even get into that part. I really wanted to talk about that. I was thinking about it ourselves.
We didn't talk about the electricity broker stuff, but we're going to have to get into it. We'll get you back on. We'll be in Houston a few more times this year for sure.
Just let me know, man.
Yes, sir. But can you let them know where they can tap into you, whether they can follow you, if you got any information that you're putting out there, anything like that?
Okay, sure. So you can find me on Instagram or YouTube, or my YouTube channel at The King Malaki, TheKingMalaki, Houston Retreats. You can find us there. That's where we do our short-term rentals at, all primarily in the Houston area, in the inner city. Good opportunity zone areas, nice places to stay. Or if you ever need any energy services, like I said, we are electricity brokers, so we do residential, we do commercial and things like that at Clutch City Energy. But all of that's on Instagram, The King Malaki.
Hey, that's a bet. Yeah, that's going to be a whole episode itself. Bro, appreciate you for coming through.
Thank y'all.
We're going to get into a few house cleaning items before we wrap up this episode. I want to say thank you to everybody for listening. If you listen this far, you know my heart goes out to y'all. I appreciate y'all for that. But could y'all please do one more step for us? Leave us that 5-star rating and review.
Need that.
We need that. Also, once again, if you have any life insurance needs, maybe you just left a job, you want to roll over a 401k, you were thinking about setting up some ways to protect some money.
Maybe you're about to retire. Yeah.
Anything like that. Maybe you have a parent who's reaching old age. They might need a final expense policy or anything like that. Get with David or I. We can help you out. Help you guys out with that. And then lastly,
or they need a tax deduction to invest in it, because they got a business, they can pay their kid for the life insurance policy.
Hey. Yeah, we
value you all day,
payroll, man. And then lastly, make sure you get your tickets to the Black Men Summit happening September 27th, 28th in Atlanta, Georgia. This is the 3rd annual Black Men Summit. We're doing it bigger and better. Once again, this year is focused on building brotherhood. So everything focused on brotherhood. Dave, you got some things you want to say about the Black Men Summit?
You know, the Black Men Summit is one of those things that's near and dear to my heart. As Black men, we often don't have a place where we can come together and build community together. We don't commune for positive things. So the Black Men Summit was created as a safe space for brothers to get together. Last year was phenomenal, man. Made some amazing connections. Brothers were able to leave feeling empowered with some information that they can actually act on. And this year, we just plan on going even crazier, man. So I'm looking forward to the summit. Early bird tickets are available right now. They're super discounted, and I don't know how long we're going to do the early bird. So I say y'all just hop on that now. If you listen to here, you're going to be in Atlanta September 27 and 28. I think it's the same weekend as Revolt World.
It is.
Yeah, so same weekend as Revolt World. Y'all in Atlanta, come check us out. Link is in the show notes. The Black Men Summit, 3rd annual, bigger and better, baby.
ATL, ho.
Yes, sir.
On that note, this is Black Wealth Renaissance signing out. Peace.
McDonald's has entered a Minecraft movie universe, and Grimace, Birdie, and Hamburglar just spawned as new collectibles in the overworld. Now for a limited time, you can get one of 6 McDonald's collectibles when you order a Minecraft movie meal. With your choice of Big Mac or 10-piece chicken McNuggets with spicy nether flame sauce. Available now in a biome near you. Oh, and at your local McDonald's. At participating McDonald's for a limited time. A Minecraft movie only in theaters.